Hi everyone, welcome to Working with Your Gifts. Now this is a short introduction that is going to describe what these readings are meant to illuminate for you. If you don't want to listen to it, you can skip right to the reading by clicking in the timestamp below. So for anyone who is new, welcome. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. Now, what does meaning-based spiritual coaching services mean? That means that I utilize the principles of logotherapy, which is a school of psychoanalysis thought that focuses on illuminating you as an individual. What makes you different? What makes your experience of life different so that you can find your own meaning within your life. But first, you have to be aware of yourself and what makes you unique. And the second step is being able to connect that unique self with your external environment to understand where these unique parts of yourself fit into the greater collective human experience. So this reading specifically is the first baby step to getting you to become self-aware of innate gifts that are unique to you. Now, since these are general readings, these are going to focus on the broader overview of looking at your astrological sign, which is going to be in one of your three main house placements in your birth chart, which is either your sun, your moon, or your rising sign. Now, you can look at all three of these. I do recommend watching a video for each of those because each one focuses on something slightly different. So when we're looking at your sun sign. Your sun sign tends to focus more on illuminating aspects of yourself, gifts to tap into that pertain specifically to your spiritual experience. When I say spiritual, I mean more of like your grand overarching purpose, that feeling inside of you, that those innate instinctual drives to enact a vision for the world that you emotionally connect to. For your rising sign, when you look at the sign associated with your rising sign, this is more about how you are perceived by others in the world. And I've heard some say it's kind of like the role you're meant to play. So if you're looking at this as being an actor in a play, this is where you get to step onto stage and how others view you in your role. And this is an important aspect because oftentimes we're so focused on our sun sign placements that we don't realize that there's an element of how others see us, and that the sign placement that is associated with our rising sign has to do more with our physical experience of life, how others perceive us in our physical world, and how we in turn actually act and interact on a physical level with our experience. And then we have our moon sign placements. Now, moon sign placements I feel are incredibly important to be aware of because this is where we tie directly into our emotional core. It's where we actually also act kind of from a place of our instinct. It's where we act from a subconscious place. So this can be important because in understanding the unique gifts and the unique attributes to the sign that is in your moon placement, you can gain a broader understanding of where you can find emotional fulfillment and perhaps where you're blocking yourself off from emotional fulfillment. So I do find that moon sign placement can be very important. It's also where you can start to see and become aware of where you act instinctually. So when pushed by your external environment, what's your first instinct to act? Your first instinct to emotionally connect with that either event or situation or person. And so it can actually provide a lot of insight into perhaps areas where you need to grow a little bit in an emotional sense. You know, if your first instinct is always to burst into tears or to get extremely angry, that's where we can start to understand, okay, this is why we're emotionally blocked from feelings of happiness and fulfillment, because we are not expressing the gifts that lie within our kind of subconscious instinctual level of reaction, and where we've blocked ourselves off from actually growing this part of ourselves, from evolving from almost more of like a childlike blah throw a tantrum type tendency to really fine-tuning this and utilizing this emotional connection to heighten and really allow for your emotional responses to be impactful both to others and to yourself. So that's kind of an overview of what we're going to be looking at here. What we're going to be diving into in each one of these readings is to take a look at what are the key gifts for the sign. And I look at the gifts for the sign meaning you are born with a specific birth chart, which is unique to you. No other person will have the same birth chart as you. It is your fingerprint that separates you from all others. And so as part of this blueprint that you have, there are layers to this. So there's the first layer of more of a general overview of kind of what divinely you were given as your broad goal and role to fill in the greater collective. Meaning, let's have an example. Let's say you were born as a Taurus. Now, Taurus is a sign of stability. It's an earth sign. It's a fixed earth sign. So you're working with the gifts of stability. In addition to that, there's working with the gifts of creating structure, working with the gifts of working with your tangible environment. And these are things that are meant to be utilized by you in your day-to-day to not only help you feel connected to an innate part of yourself, but also to help fill a role in the greater collective experience. So not everybody is born with Taurus in one of their 3 main house placements. But if you are, then you're meant to be an example to others or to fill roles that the other signs cannot, so that you really fill in the gaps and keep the balance going between everybody and all of their unique gifts. So the more that you start to become aware of your unique gifts and you start to tap into them on a high level, then you can start to break it down and go deeper into a very personal and singular individual level, where you start to then uncover your own unique abilities and gifts that don't tie directly back to your sign placements. Instead, they tie back to you as the individual. And that's where getting a personal reading would help uncover that aspect of yourself. But we get to be aware in stages. So it isn't about when you're starting this road to uncovering who you are, so that you can start to answer fully your own I am question. And when I talk about what is the I am question, it's if somebody right now was to walk up to you and say, announce to the world, step on stage and tell people about yourself. Who are you? And you would start by stepping up and saying, I am. And how would you answer that question? Now, a lot of us might have certain things that we could, say right off the bat. I am a mother. I'm a construction worker. I am fill in the blank. But where we go a little deeper is this is here to answer the larger, deeper I am question. Who are you at your core, and what is your purpose and place in this world? And I think most of us are, at some point in our lives, we come to this existential crisis of trying to figure that out, of do I matter? Does my life hold meaning? Where do I find meaning in life for myself? And that first step is becoming self-aware. And it happens in layers. We don't just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to be self-aware today. It's finding a starting place that works for you that starts to unlock that connection again between yourself and your uniqueness in your external environment. So it's baby steps. As an example for this would be like you saying, okay, I realize I'm not feeling happy and emotionally fulfilled in my life. So I am going to start to utilize techniques like meditation or self-awareness practices, or just finding the time to do one thing a day that brings me some type of enjoyment, whether that's building in time to go for a walk by myself, or finding the time to reconnect with a hobby that you maybe have long since pushed to the side. Like, I'm going to start writing a little bit again every day, or I'm going to take out my paint set that I haven't utilized in 15 years and start to just doodle with it. These are the ways that we start to tap back into our connection to self. And that's where our connection to the greater collective experience starts. It starts with connecting to ourself again as a unique individual. And then from there, once we have a healthy connection to ourself and awareness of self, we can then go out into the external environment and connect that unique self with our external environment so we can start to understand where we fit in. And that's really where then we start the adventure to find meaning for ourselves. So I hope this has been illuminating and informative, and your video will start right now. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hi, Libra. Welcome to your Working with Your Gifts reading. So this reading is meant to take a high-level look at what it means to be born under the sign of Libra in one of your main 3 house placements, your sun, your rising, or your moon, and to really take a look at what gifts and superpowers you were imbued with by simply just having this as part of your birth chart. Now, we'll go a little deeper. I'm going to start doing these readings once a week or once every other week to continue to provide you with some insight into how you can utilize these gifts, the energies around them, any blocks that you have in needing to be able to utilize them to the best of your ability. And then we'll start to kind of develop and get deeper into how this is helping to unlock your own very individual, unique, singular gifts. So this is kind of like a high-level look at you. It's like finding that corner piece on the puzzle board to see where you fit into the greater picture of everything. And then we're going to start to pull the pieces around it to start to uncover your specific piece. All right, Libra, let's see what comes out for you. So I'm going to pull a Spirit Animal Oracle card to see what is the energy around your gifts as being a Libra and what you're kind of being asked to step into right now and utilizing these gifts in the greater collective, basically to be of service to the greater collective human experience. So Libra, you are a cardinal air sign, which cardinal energy is really that of leadership and action. So even if you are not in a traditional leadership role, meaning that you are a manager or that you are a high-level leader of others, you naturally are given the gift of being able to stand out in utilizing air energy, which is part of what's associated with Libra. Now, Libra, your sign, the planet that rules your sign is Venus. So you have this innate gift to really tap into beauty and the feminine side to our experience. But more than anything, what Libras really hold as your unique superpower that kind of helps you stand out and really fill a role in not only the zodiac but in the collective human experience is that you have this ability to tap into and see all perspectives so that you are able to make informed decisions. You're able to come from a place of fairness, justice, equality, and most importantly, balance. And these are gifts that are very much, we are all very much in need of, and especially more now than ever. We are going through a time of great change globally. And when we go through a time of change, balance can be thrown off. And that can be very disorienting for people in general. And so really, Libra, it's up to you as being born under the sign of Libra, that it's kind of by birthright, you're here to help in this capacity. This is your corner piece to see kind of what is your larger purpose? What is the role that you're here to fill? And it's really to help balance out the energies in an area specific to you. So this is not just, we're looking at a general overview of your energy, but then it gets specific to you. So in what area you choose to focus on and bring balance to is, again, it'll be unique to you. All right, so let's take a look here. I love this card. So we have Hawk Spirit. It says, let spirit be your guide, number 32, which breaks down to number 5. And I find it so interesting that the majority of these readings this month have had a number that has broken down to the number 5, because the number 5 is associated with change. The year 2021 is a universal 5-year in numerology. So we're just dealing with change, and it's actually showing up in the numbers as well as in the cards. So in fulfilling your role and helping to lead others from a place of, so when we talk about Libra and being associated with air, that is our ability to connect on a mental level to spirit. And I think it's so interesting that this is exactly the card that comes through. Let spirit be your guide. And what's beautiful about Hawk Spirit, when you think about hawks, is that hawks have the ability to soar very high up into the sky to see the greater picture that oftentimes when we're down here on the ground, we can't see. And that really mimics and mirrors your own unique ability, Libra, to be able to see all sides of a situation and be able to take action and lead from a place of making decisions that are based on fairness, because you have been able to take in all viewpoints. You've been able to see all angles. And I think right now this is what you're being reminded to step into. This is your power to help navigate through this time of change, is to be able to gain that higher perspective. Now, this could be that at this point, you guys have been kind of wrestling, like we all have, with a narrower or a narrowed viewpoint, because we have all had to go through the pandemic. We've all had to go through lockdown, and where we had to kind of disengage with the world and have our sphere of influence get smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's hard when you are a sign that wants to see all perspectives and hear all perspectives, and you now are kind of, contained and really didn't have that ability for quite some time. Now, I think that was beneficial for all of us to go through, because it allowed us to reconnect with ourselves. And sometimes we have to be reminded that even though we need to see all perspectives, that we in reality are only coming at any given time from our one perspective, and that no other will ever be able to, I like to say, see out of our own eyes. Only we can live our life, only we can see our perspective, and that's what makes us a singularity. And so I think there's this interesting kind of just what's coming through as a channeled message for you guys, is that you've had this time to sit with yourself, to regain a clear look on your own perspective separate from the influence of others, and to really be able to see yourself again as this unique individual. But now it's time, you're being asked by Spirit to come back out with your gifts of this ability to see a broader perspective, to really tap into this energy of the hawk, of being able to soar higher. And it's almost like you're being asked now to become a higher version of yourself. A version of yourself that is now able to see where in your own life balance is needed, basically where you need to take action to bring balance, to where now you can bring balance to your external environment. And this could be you guys going back into the work field and bringing balance there. As people are coming back in kind of disoriented, you are that leading figure who can kind of come up from a mental space to come up with ideas to say, hey guys, like, even though everybody's a little disjointed and maybe things have changed, let's take a look at where everybody lies at this point, and let's start to build from here. So now I'm going to pull some additional cards for you guys to see if we can get a little bit more specific. If any truly specific messages come out, I will let you know. In addition to, and I think I shared this in your spiritual connection reading, Libra, but in addition to balance, fairness and justice from a level that is truly blind. Justice that comes from that faith in the greater design, the higher design of life, which you guys get to tap into again on a mental level, this beautiful higher connection to Spirit, and that you can kind of tap into that blind lady justice component of understanding that yes, there can be social justice and there can be, justice that comes from different perspectives, but ultimately there is a higher level of justice that is something that we have to have faith in, and it's something that we might never quite fully understand, but it's that faith that we have that everything will balance out as it is supposed to. And I think that that's a message we need to hear more now than ever. And it's going to fall on your shoulders, Libra, to help in whatever, again, capacity or niche you have for yourself, to bring that energy, to bring that kind of, a few cards that popped out here, to bring that energy of faith and optimism to whatever you're working with, whether it's in a very specific workplace, or it's your family, or you have a hobby that you like to do and you get to bring forward this element, even of just talking to people that you interact with, of bringing this higher level of everything in its place for a reason and a purpose. That's ultimate divine justice and balance. And that there's also this sense of one person's perspective is equally as important as another's. There is no disparity in weight. We are all equal on a spiritual level. Our souls all weigh the same. So the three cards that came out for you are the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Cups, so two knights, and the Sun. Now, when I'm looking at this here, there is a specific message that's coming through. So I think I'm just going to share this because it could be enlightening or illuminating for one or two people who are watching this. But there is some part of you guys could be sitting with either a Virgo or a Pisces, and there's an illumination in your relationship to them. It doesn't have to be for you. Just take the message for what it is. I think on coming from a higher level, especially pertaining to Hawk Spirit, let Spirit be your guide, that there's this element of the Knight of Pentacles is a slow moving progressive energy with growing something in the tangible environment. So this is when you can kind of see here, this is when you are taking a seed and planting it and taking one step at a time to grow a field of crops, so to speak. This can be you taking the time to build a business and again do it step by step by step, or build a family step by step by step. And then the Knight of Cups is he's kind of the I'm blanking. I always have like a phrase for him, but he is the eternal, optimistic, kind of fool in love. This is the person who is always ready to come back and say, yeah, I know I got hurt, or I know that person got hurt, but next time I'm going to meet the love of my life. They're the eternal optimist, and they're coming from this beautiful place of true connection to their emotional core and wanting to share that with others in this highly vulnerable way. And so at a high level, what I'm seeing here for you is that there's a balance that needs to be taken now between these two, that there's a balance between this hardworking, methodical energy and this optimistic adventurer. Because these knights are both on horses. So even though this is slow moving energy, he's still moving. The horse is still, the knights in the tarot denote progression, forward movement. And the Knight of Cups is also moving. He's going out there with his cup, and he's kind of like the Lancelot character. He's going out there to find adventure, but on an emotionally fulfilling way, and is not going to kind of be put off by circumstances. And so there's this illumination quality between the balance of both, between bringing this into your own life and realizing that, yes, you can methodically work towards something, but it has to be balanced with this optimistic perspective. And the illumination, I mean, this is such a beautiful card, the Sun. The Sun is all about illumination, both outward and inward. It's also about coming forth as yourself. And so I really feel like there's this element here for, again, some of you, for a very specific group. There's somebody who's dealing with a Virgo or a Pisces in their life, which are the energies that are associated with these cards, and being able to kind of have an illumination, whether you're having to see somebody in a new light, and I kind of get that feeling that there's this element of being able to see somebody for who they are and seeing them now more from a romanticized version, from realizing that you can, again, even if you're seeing somebody, who is very slow moving and maybe very particular, and there's not a lot of romance. There's not a lot of romance about the Knight of the Knight of Pentacles, that you get a chance to bring that energy. Again, balancing this out. So there's an element here, though, for the larger message for you guys is seeing yourself, having this self-illumination of harnessing both sides, that you need both of these in your life. It can't just be all or one. You can't just go through life as this, emotional romantic without putting effort and hard work into something tangible, just like you can't go and build something tangibly without having an optimistic outlook for it and having emotional connection. So there's this element about reconnecting with the balance between emotional connection and the work that you're putting in, and then being able to illuminate this part of yourself. So what this would look like in maybe bringing this forward into your external environment would be, okay, I have to go back into the work environment. But now it's about coming back in with this perspective of, am I emotionally connected to what I'm doing? Maybe you've been out of the office for some time and now you're going back in and you're starting to, go through the motions of, being the stable, steady Libra that you are. But are you emotionally connected? does it make you feel optimistic and romantic about life? And if it doesn't, then maybe this is what needs to be balanced. Maybe you either need to bring this new fresh perspective to your work environment, or to, again, your perspective of your work, or you need to find a way to bring this into your life. So if you realize work is just kind of methodical and boring, but man, there's this hobby on this side that I haven't tapped into for a while, or haven't been able to participate in because of the pandemic. Now I'm going to balance out work life with my emotional life. And I'm going to go start picking that hobby back up again. And I'm going to do that 3 nights a week. And this will be the balance that I bring in. Or on a home life element, so bringing this back to you very specifically, it's maybe you are the one who's just a little bit more methodical in whatever you're doing. And maybe you and your family have gotten into a routine, and this is what you guys do. And it's about bringing and balancing that in with this fresh, romantic, optimistic energy. So it's showing me here that it's letting spirit be your guide. So it's kind of, it's about connecting your emotions to your physical environment, balancing those out to really, I think, bring yourself into clarity, as well as then once you do that, you get a chance to show others what that looks like. So if you're doing this in a work environment, the beauty of this is that you either get to, if you're going back in and changing your perspective on work and you're communicating to others from that perspective, they get a chance to see you leading by example as a cardinal sign. That, wow, I get a chance to see what it's like to hear somebody talk positively about the work that we do. That's so refreshing. It's so nice. It's such a change from the negative kind of negative Nancy, water cooler talk of like, work isn't work. It's nice to be able to hear an alternative, balanced perspective, and that's what people will start to connect with. Or if this is in your family life, it's one of those things where you're showing by example that life, especially if you have children, that life isn't just all about work, or that one person works and the other person gets to, not work hard and stay at home and get to dive into their passions. It's that it's an equal give and take. So this could even be more of a specific message for people, for a few of you, where you're balancing some aspect in your home life between one of you maybe getting a chance to follow passions and one of you being kind of the stable, steady breadwinner. And now it's about bringing that out, that both of you get to tap into that both of you get to have a hobby that's on your own, and both of you also have to put in the work. So even if one person maybe doesn't go into a traditional style 9-to-5 work, there's element that that other partner still has to step up and do some of the day-to-day tasks, whether it's cleaning the house or picking the kids up from school or doing the things that the other person does more in an outside the home work level. And then you guys both get to go out and either have a shared hobby or have your own hobbies where you get to tap into this romantic kind of emotional connective component to life. So there is this element that you're being asked to really see the higher vision, to see beyond just, your day-to-day, beyond what you've kind of been limited in up until now with, kind of the repercussions of the pandemic we've just gone through. To be able to see the larger vision of your life, that life isn't all just work or all just play. It's a combination of both. It's a beautiful balance of both. And that when I'm looking at let spirit be your guide, there's an element here that you're going through change, as we all are. But you yourself are going through your own individual experience of that change. And so there's this element here of let spirit be your guide, so that as you're seeking to balance out these energies in all aspects of your life, spirit is going to, your direct connection to spirit through your mental space is going to start to uncover something about your own unique individuality as you do this. So this could be something like, as you're balancing out this energy in your home, as you're going from, let's say, maybe always being the breadwinner and having to go to work and do the, kind of the dirty, boring stuff, that now that you're getting back into this optimistic emotional place of connection, and let's say you're picking up on a hobby and this hobby is inspiring you to feel this freedom in life again, to get to connect with others who share a similar passion, that all of a sudden you start to realize, like, wow, I'm really good at doing this. Let's say it could be something that the hobby is picking up a sport you haven't played in a while, or it could be something as adventurous as skydiving, or you go fly balloons, something like that, where you start to uncover a part of yourself that now you can start to work on again. I have a feeling with this, again, let spirit be your guide, that not only are you meant to see a higher vision, but you're also meant to see where there's a part of yourself that you've maybe haven't connected to in a while, and where this can fit into now this change of experience that we're all coming out into after the pandemic, because things have really changed. Whether we see all of it or not, it's going to be on the shoulders of you, Libra, to really start to be a leader in being able to see the areas of life that have changed and will continue to change, and possibly change for the better. Because I think one of the biggest elements and takeaways that we have from going through this pandemic and with this change of kind of this work-life perspective is that we're all coming away from it with a little bit of this disruption in how we had originally had ourselves set up to go to work and then be off on the weekends and look forward to our vacations, but kind of like go through, like, not always be in love with the work that we do, but still do it. And that maybe now people are tapping into the reality that you can kind of have both. You can truly have a work-life balance. There is more to life than just work. And I think you guys are going to be the ones that kind of really step forward to help keep that balance at play, instead of us reverting back to, no, it's all just work, work, work. So I think that's the important part that, Libra, you're kind of being called to step into, is to keep showing, no, you can keep playing. You can keep balancing. Beautiful message. Your gifts, Libra, are very integral, as are all signs, but yours specifically, I think now more than ever, just because we are going through this rocky kind of period of disruption. And after a period of disruption, what we need is that balance. We need that optimism. We need that higher perspective, and we need somebody who can very easily communicate, well, this person, their perspective is as valid and worthy as this person's perspective. And let's let everybody come to the table. And then you'll get a chance to see where that takes you as well, Libra. All right. I look forward to your next reading. Again, I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping that I can fit these in, to doing these either once a week or once every other week, so we can continue to see the development of energy around as you start to tap into these gifts and really where they're needed. And then to also tap into some specific messages for others who really are starting to dive into developing some unique aspect of self. All right, if you'd like to see, there's also a spiritual connection reading up for you guys for the month. I might be trying to sneak in another one for you guys coming into July. But otherwise, if you'd like to book a personal reading or a one-on-one spiritual coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. Bye, Libras.